So, Mr. Motivator, hello and welcome to the Happy Place Festival.
Thank you for the invite. I feel so good. I'm always happy, so I feel like I'm in the right place.
Well, Joe, it's a good place to start. How do you do that? How are you always happy? Because it's tough in this world.
Of course it's tough, but I think, if you have a choice in life, which is, do you want to be sad or do you want to be happy? I choose happiness every time. Because remember, for every 1 minute that you're sad, that's 60 seconds of happiness you're missing out on.
That's so true. Yeah. So we want to take in as much happiness as we can. You must find though, like, as we all do in life, there are the things that really try and test us. So what do you use to try and overcome the tests when they come your way? If you're getting stressed or you've got a lot on your plate, it is quite tough, I find, to remain positive all the time.
Yeah, I think, when you've been through the university of life, I'm 67 years of age, when you've been through that, you've been through lots and lots of different hurricanes, lots and lots of different problem situations. Every broken relationship, everything that goes wrong is all part of the foundation stone that prepares you to be the person you are in the end. And so you arrive at a place where you look back on your life and you go, you know what, I don't like the way I felt when this was going on in my life. And so therefore, when it comes to like the virus and all that kind of stuff that's around, I treat that like any hurricane that I've been through. And I've been through real hurricanes in terms of being in the Caribbean, and they've actually come along. And they're going to be lasting for a time. You don't know how long, you don't know what the ultimate effect is. But what you do is you say, well, okay, bring it on. And that's what I say to this virus. I say, bring it on. We've already done weeks and weeks of it. As far as I'm concerned, the light at the end of the tunnel is much closer than we think. So therefore, good times are ahead. And that's how I focus. And that's what I do to ensure that whatever is happening in my life, right, it actually stays where it is. It doesn't become a depressing factor. And I drag in all the experiences of the past few years or the past decades to keep me going and keep me strong.
So you weren't always had this like amazing capability of dealing with it. It comes with time and experience as well as kind of listening to you.
Yeah, it does. Because you see, the thing is, when you've experienced some of the things I've experienced, take, for example, if I take you way back to being given away at 3 months of age, that is traumatic in itself. But then you go through living in Jamaica, the first 10 years is kind of difficult. Then you come to the UK, it's new surroundings, new environment. Then you end up having a daughter at age 20, and at age 23, you're now a single parent. You're having to do everything that a single parent does. So you're a mother, you're a father, you're plaiting here, you're cooking, you're reading books, taking to school, taking to childminder. When you go through all those things, right, sure, those are rough when it's happening, and you often can't see the light and you can't see where it's going to end. But if you have the belief that the price of success is perseverance, what you do is you keep working away, knowing that eventually your turn must come.
The price of success is perseverance. I love that. That is such a beautiful saying. Well, let's touch upon what you mentioned there, because it was brilliant to kind of read up on your life kind of so far. And you touched upon it there. So you came over from Jamaica. You said you were around 10 years old and moved to Leicester. Is that correct?
That's right. Lived in Leicester, did all my schooling in Leicester. The Boys Brigade was part of the foundation stone again, because the Boys Brigade was a Christian organization. It was more Methodist. Was the basis of the religion. But what they taught you was so many things and so many life skills, and those life skills definitely have kept me going. It's kept me on the straight and narrow, because you're faced with so much temptation at that young age, so many things that can distract you in terms of crime and stuff like that. And I was faced with it. It was always around me, but yet still it kept you focused. And the friends that you formed in that kind of Christian organization became the backbone for who you are, and the support mechanism, so that whenever you felt like straying or wandering off the other side, really, that brought you back into the fold.
How important is that support group around you, and how important has it been throughout your life, obviously, when you got into the 90s, into the 2000s?
Sure. You know what? That support group is interesting, right? And I say this to everybody, that in your 20s, right, your support group and your friends is out here. There's loads of them, right? And as the decades go by, it gets smaller and smaller. But eventually you realize, in fact, it'd be just me and a head in the corner bobbing away, right? But eventually, right, what happens is that the real people that matter in your life are there. And I can probably name on one hand who those friends are. And that support mechanism, especially if there are people who went through the same kind of upbringing in terms of the Boys Brigade and the Christian values, they're the thermometer for whether something's right or wrong. So therefore, if you do talk to them, and I do, my best mate, I've known him for literally 60 years, and I speak to him probably every other day I speak to him. And so therefore, I become his sounding board, he becomes mine. And so when the difficult times really hit me, like in the early 80s, right, when I came to London and stuff like that, and things were really, really tough, and you were homeless and you were living in a bed and breakfast where there were 3 or 4 families, you needed the support of the past to kind of remind you, look, Derrick, everything will be okay. Keep on working away, right? But listen, the one thing you mustn't do, you can't wait for your ship to come in. You've got to swim out to it. So in other words, you've got to really keep on going. And also, Derrick, look, the hard work may be tough, but remember, it's only in the dictionary where success comes before work. So all these things are resonating with you and they stay with you. And those become my kind of guiding principles that's taking me to where I am right now.
And so they've been constant throughout your whole life and your whole career? Yes,
they have. Then, you know, the thing is, when I left Leicester and moved to London, right, it's interesting, my best mate, he very soon afterwards left Leicester and came to London. He was always close by. I think he just wanted to come around and borrow some sugar. But essentially, they were always around. And there's another friend of mine called Reg, and he was always around, right, and stuff like that. And so therefore, you know, they were the people that matter. Because the one thing you learn about television, people think in television you all of a sudden gain all these wonderful new friends and stuff like that. No, you don't. What you gain is acquaintances and people who are really transient. You meet them for a time. And whilst you're on the way up, they're all there. I used to throw a party at GMTV, right, for all the people who worked at GMTV. I used to take over a nightclub, and every October, I throw it open to everybody who worked for the company. And there'd be like 200 people there. But that was my way of saying thank you. Now, it's interesting that I'm not on television as often as I used to be, apart from the last 5 or 6 weeks. But you don't get those people calling you up and seeing to check who you are. They don't get round, and one of them especially used to be at my home every week.
Wow.
And he was quite a prominent person in television. He was at my home every week, but you don't hear from them any longer. So you realize the only people that you must hold dear to you are the people who saw you from when you were young, who went through you scrubbing your knees and through all those difficult times. They're the ones that are important in your life. And that's what you must hold on to. So I say to people right now, if someone wants to form a friendship with you, the first thing you do is, right, once you let them in, don't let them into your home initially. Meet them down the road. Because for sure, they've got problems. And they see you and they think, what a perfect specimen. I want some of what he's got. If you let him into your home or her into your home, they drain you of your energy. They leave feeling good. And then you start asking questions about your relationship. You start going, are we okay, darling? Are we all right? Is everything okay? Purely because they have now put negativity into your nice, wonderful zone. So I say to people, be helpful to others, but go away from your home to help them.
And it's that thing of it not coming at the expense of your well-being and your energy as well.
Absolutely right. Because, you know, the thing is, we think it's selfish to think that you're the most important person in the world, but you are. And if you remember what the stewardess says on the airplane, put your mask on first before you can help anybody else.
Yeah.
That is so true. If you're sick, how can you help anybody else? And it's a classic thing with what's been going on with the virus. If you're sick, you really can't help anybody else. So therefore, what you've got to do is get yourself feeling well, and then you can offer out those helpful messages. And then you can actually start physically helping people and looking after other people.
I love that imagery of the aeroplane and the stewardess saying you've got to fix yours first. It's perfect. During the kind of the 90s and your rise, Derrick, you know, you became a household name everywhere. How did that happen? And what was that like for you? Of course, you know, for even what we've heard there, your journey so far from Jamaica to Leicester, then to London, and then to become the person that you became. How did that happen?
You know, I think most of us in our lives, if you look at where we are, we're probably far removed from where we thought we would be when we left school or college. Because what it is, we make decisions and it takes you down different routes. And sometimes it's the circumstances of those decisions that takes you down a particular route. So for me, for example, I was making decisions based on the need to look after my daughter. So if I needed bread on the table, I had to do whatever was available. And there were times when I was stacking shelves in Tesco. There were times when I was cleaning out bathrooms or toilet. There were times when I had a building company and I was doing everything to do with building. I knew nothing about it, but I surrounded myself with the right people. And I was dressed in my Barber jacket and my Wellingtons. And I was directing people like the architect and stuff like that to do what needed doing. But, you know, it's one of those things, right, where every one of us gets a light bulb moment. And I remember wandering into a leisure centre, and I've told this story so many times, and I've written it in my book called The Warm-Up.
Great plug, great plug.
I'm pretty sure we can't cut that out. It's in The Warm-Up, and it's available on Amazon. Anyhow, and what it is, right, you get that light bulb moment. I was in the leisure centre in Harrow, walked into a hall, and I saw 200 women exercising. And they were all moving to what was called pop mobility. A track of music went on. They knew exactly what moves to make. And I was transfixed. That was my light bulb moment. And after that, right, I thought, I need to set up my own classes. And I started my own classes using two ladies who were in that class to run it for me. Wow. That was in a church hall, a new church hall. But after a couple of months, I didn't need them any longer. So I said, goodbye. And I started doing the classes. I had no qualifications. I just had a will, and I felt that my feet had a life of their own, right? And I felt at one. And in fact, to prove how good I was at it, people would travel 20, 30 miles to come to my classes. We'd have classes in a church hall or in a school hall, which was so packed, you couldn't move. We'd have 120 people exercising. Right? And the atmosphere was just amazing. And then that spread to the British Heart Foundation, who said, look, we'd love you to go around the country talking to people about exercise. So I did a whole thing going around the country talking, and it was called Exercise for Life. And they had a picture of me on there. And I'd meet these people in leisure centres and talk to them about exercise. But all I had done was researched it. I'd read every book, every video and exercise, I got it together, and I just immersed myself in the subject because, again, I felt that this was the beginning of my journey. This was going to be me, and I was enjoying it. And the thing is, you know, happy is a man who can earn his living from his hobby. And here it was a hobby that was doing good for me, but it was also doing good for other people.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of how the break into television happened. But don't forget, it took nearly 10 years before I got that full break in television.
And all that work beforehand that not many people will have seen.
No one would have seen it, because the thing is, right, it's just my popularity started spreading. The Heart Foundation was interested. Then Gloria Hunniford had a Sunday show. She heard about it and said, look, would I like to come in and do some exercise on the show? And I did. I went in and I drilled these 10 guys like a sergeant major. That went out. She loved it. She said, come and train me. I said, yes, not realizing she lived all the way in Sevenoaks in Kent. I was traveling an hour and a half to get to her every day to train, but it didn't matter. I did it because I'll always remember resonating in my brain was the words, right? If you're going to be a dustman, be the best that you can. And I just really felt that I had to be the best that I can with whatever it is. So I kept going there. She kept telling me, you should be in television. It didn't happen then. And then I get invited to do a show for which Eamon Holmes was going to be the presenter on the show. Mm-hmm. And I ran into Mad Lizzie and the Green Goddess, who in the 80s were big, but this was now the early 90s. Wow. And there was Eamon begging me to come and train him. So I started training Eamon. Before I knew it, Lorraine Kelly used to come down. She was the main presenter on GMTV, as it was called then, and all the weather presenters. And I was training everybody at Television Centre. They were all joining in with me. And so that was a kind of foot in. But the real thing that did it was this. One day I'm in reception waiting for the guys to all come down. And I saw a guy walking into reception, stomach in front of him. I got up and walked over. I prodded his belly. Until this day, I don't know why I did it. And he said, leave me alone, and stormed off. I found out that he was the program controller of GMTV. And I wasn't going to be put off. So I found out he was on the 5th floor. So I got my bike the next day, went into his office when he wasn't there at 8 o'clock, pushed it in and left. I went back after I finished training the presenters at about 11 and knocked on his door. He called me in. I went in. He said, why are you hounding me? I said, because you need to look after yourself. Because I hear that you're the program controller of GMTV and people look up to you. He said, I don't have time. I said to him, if you don't make time, you won't have time. Jill, his secretary, called me in and said, I called her in and she said, look, what do you want? I said, look, put me in his diary. When can he train? And she put me in the diary for the following Tuesday. I started training him 3 months later. He said, anyone who can convince me to exercise deserves to be on television. And that's how it began. But it didn't happen again as easy as we think.
Wow, no way. That is the universe there as well. Right place, right time, and taking the opportunity, I guess.
You have to seize the opportunities in life, right? I mean, as I said, remember what I said earlier, the price of success is perseverance. Don't wait for your ship to come in. You can't sit here expecting that people are going to give you what you want. It's never going to happen. A dream has to be transferred into a goal before it becomes a success. If you don't do that, it's still a dream.
It's so inspiring listening to you. It really, it's infectious. You can feel it from the screen. Question, yes. Did you decide on the spandex?
Yeah, but you see, now here's the situation, right? Of course, they wouldn't let me on television because the advertiser says that a black man doing fitness on television would never work. It had to be a blonde lady with 2 kids. So the girl who was doing fitness on television was going on holiday. I happened to be walking through the offices one day and I heard a lady on the phone to the Key Fit Association saying, we want you to come and do the fitness while this girl's on holiday. And I sat down by the side of her, knelt down, and I said, please put the phone down. She did. I said, give me a chance. She said, I heard about you, Derrick. There's no way it's going to happen because the advertiser, but she says, things have a way of changing. About 2 weeks later, she called me up and she said, listen, we've spoken to Mr. McHugh, we've spoken to the advertisers, they're going to stop advertising for 2 weeks. And during that 2 weeks, we're going to give you a chance on the screen. She said, you need to come in and rehearse what you're going to do. I said, I don't rehearse. It's all from up here. It's spontaneous. She says, well, the cameras need to know where to go. I said, don't worry about that. What you do is, right, show me how do the cameras work. She says, well, when the red light comes on, it's on you. I said, okay, here's what I'll do. I will speak to the camera like I'm speaking to them indoors. And I say, okay, today we're going to work the biceps. Come in, look at the biceps. The camera would come in. Today we're going to work the stomach. The camera will come in. We're going down on the floor right now. Follow me down. She said, well, we've never done that before. We'll try it. And on the 23rd of August, 1993, that was it. And the public liked me, but the Lycra still wasn't around then. That was an evolving situation because the one thing I was conscious of is that everybody who had gone before, and when it came to fitness, were nowhere to be seen. And if I'd gone on in a black pair of shorts and a white top, you and I would not be speaking today.
Yeah.
So that was all based on experiences I'd got where I realized that marketing, what was the saying? The saying is that the person who doesn't market himself or advertise himself, it's a bit like turning off the light in your home because you're trying to save electricity, right? Yeah. So what you've got to do is, right, in life, is you've got to promote yourself. You've got to realize, again, that if you create the right message, people remember. And remember this, and Maya Angelou, the poet, said it. People may forget what you said. They may forget what you do. But the one thing they'll never forget is how you make them feel. And that has always remained with me, right? Because if I can make you feel what I'm talking about, make you realize that there's a joy when you exercise and when your state of well-being is great. There is a feeling you get after you've done any kind of activity, whether it's walking or swimming. There is a shower that you have after activity, which is the best shower in the world, right? There's so many positive things. There's a curative power of exercise. There's a smile and a conversation that you have with your friends when you've been exercising. You will talk about nothing else. The moment your friend goes to exercise, the next day they're going to come and tell you about it.
Yeah.
And that's been my message, is let me dress up that pill of exercise and well-being in a sugary coating so you don't realize you're swallowing it. A bit like how our parents took vegetables and they put it in a pie because they wanted you to eat it. That's what Motivator is all about. Right? I believe my exercise must be accessible to everybody, no matter how young, no matter how old. There are people out there very successful dealing with the very young. But I believe that the message must spread across everybody. Because if you get the older person doing it, they're going to tell everybody. If you get a younger person doing it and it's fun, they're going to tell everybody. Yeah. And that's got to be the message. Make it fun, make it accessible, and guess what? You've got an audience for life.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, we're going to get to this exercise in just a second, but one of the final questions I wanted to ask you, Derrick, was what things do you practice and do you do to look after your well-being and, you know, to keep this positive mindset that you have? Of course, you have your exercise. Is there anything else you do?
You know, right now, with what we're going through, what we've gone through in terms of lockdown and stuff like that, I suddenly realized that in my life, well, not suddenly, I've always known that there are loads of things that we actually spend our energy on, which is not important. Right now, there's only 4 things that's important in our lives. And I keep telling people, one is, and we don't even think about it sometimes, one is a roof over our head, critical. Number 2, do you have food on the table? Number 3, do you have your health? And number 4, do you have someone who loves you? Or is it at the moment that you just love yourself? That's all you need.
Yeah.
And so therefore, my routine every day is to count my blessings when I get up. Have I got those 4 things? Yes, I have. The other thing is, when I look in the mirror, do I like what I see? If I don't, I can make changes. What must I do every day? I must exercise, because if I exercise every day, that improves my health. Right? I must keep my emotions in order, because if I'm emotionally happy, I can work on to 2 o'clock in the morning, have 2 hours sleep, and get up and continue working. But if your emotions are messed up, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't do anything. Yeah. So what I do, it destabilizes those things that keep you upright.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm in a happy place at the moment. That's why we're talking.
Yeah, I'm in a happy place listening to you, Derrick. Honestly, you can everything you're talking about. You can see, well, feel it through the screen, but it's represented in your work and in your life so far, and genuinely, it is infectious and really uplifting. So I've loved this. Thank you. Well, the big moment though now as well is, I mean, would you be able to take us through a fitness routine?
Well, the only problem is I'm so good at this. I don't know whether I should share it for free. You got any money in your pocket?
I can sort you out. I can sort you out a little bank transfer.
It only has to be 2 bob. That's
okay.
All.
2 bob.
What 2 bob is. For sure. All you have to do is say, listen, it's been great talking to you, right? And it's always remember this. If you remember nothing else, the physical condition of a man, woman, whoever it is, can be judged by what they take 2 at a time. Is it the stairs or pills?
There we go. I'll tell you what, I'm bringing that to all my friends, Derrick. That's it. I'll have to write all these down now in my little notebook. It's been a joy, though. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been such a beautiful thing. So we'll get into this little bit of exercise then.
Oh, gang, how you doing? It's me, Mr. Motivator, and with me is Palmer.
Hi.
The wife. We're going to show you alternatives, but for now, we're just going to have a big party. So you're marching on the spot with me like this. You know, it's important, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your exercise, that you warm the body up. Here we go. And as you can see from the t-shirt, I am so hot. Here we go. That's good. Okay. Now watch it. Bring the arms up and down. Here we go. So they're the alternatives. So if for any reason you can't do it standing up, you do it from the chair. Go up. Here we go. All right. Now watch it. We're going to reach up to the ceiling. Here we go. Reach up. Take it down. Take it up. Take it down. 2 more. Here we go. Take it up. Take it down. 1 more time. Take it up. Take it up. Okay. Take it down. March on the spot. Legs are wide. Here we go. Here we go. Watch it now. We're going to change this to a heel dig. Go. Heel. Use the arms. So this is just a gentle warm-up. 10 minutes of fun. Here we go. Let's go. Do it. Do it. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Ow. Come on. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Push. Push. Watch it. Lunge back. Lunge back. Ow. Hey. Come on. Lunge back. Lunge back. Lunge back. Watch it now. Heel dig. Heel dig. Here we go. Here we go. Push. 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 Now push to the side. 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 So if you're in the chair, stomach wants to be as tight as you can. Push. Here we go. Watch it. Reach up for the ceiling. Here we go. Right hand. Left hand. You got it. Come on now. Yes. 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 Here we go. Now you've got to look after yourself. You hear me? Come on now. Here we go. Both hands. Do it. Do it. Do it. Watch it now. That's good, that's good. So this is just a warm-up to get you in the mood, because with the Happy Place Virtual Festival, it's all about lots of activities, lots of talks, but of course, Motivator in the house. Here we go. Heels to the butt, let's go, let's go. Heels to the butt, let's go. Ha! That's it. So I'm just going to give you a general all-round workout. Here we go. Knees up. Oh, come on, come on. Ha, ha. Here we go. Come on. I feel a thought for the day coming on. Uh-oh. Can you feel it?
Yes.
You sure? Are you waiting for a thought? Or is it a life lesson? Here we go. Watch the hands, go. Side, side. Knees coming up here. Here we go. Watch it, squat down and up. Now from the chair, you may want to stand up if you like, otherwise just do some pushing up on the ball of the foot. Ho. Here we go, here we go. Ho, ho, ho. Come on, come on. You got it. Ho. Shoulders, push it up here. Here we go, here we go. Circle the shoulders round and round. Big circles with the arms. Here we go. Come on. Do it. Yes, yes, yes. Here's the thought for now. The life lesson. Remember, there are some people out there who will set their watches by your clock. Bring it in. Here we go. Bring your hands behind the head. Come on. Do it. Do it. Come on. Do it. Upright row here. Ow! Here we go. Here we go. Change this. Frontal raise. Here we go. Let's go. Oh! Let me show you from the side. Do it. Do it. Ha! Here we go. Watch it. Single arm. Ha! Like so. Ha! You drive the car. Good. Do it. Ha! Here we go. Here we go. Biceps. Okay. Keep your palms facing you. Push up to the ceiling. Let's go. Ho! Watch it. Palms facing each other. Watch it. Take it up. Bring it up. Bring it in. Ho! Do it. Do it. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Yes, gang. You're here with me. Happy Place Virtual Festival. Uh-oh. And don't forget. Yes. At the end of your festival, if you want more of Mr. Motivator, don't forget. Ho! Come on. Follow me on Instagram, Real Mr. Motivator. Ho! Watch it, hands on the waist. Yes, where you get motivational tips, life lessons. And if you want workouts, you go to the YouTube channel. Uh-oh. Here we go, watch the legs. Lift it up, out to the side. Toes pointing towards me, working the outside thigh. You take it easy in the chair. Opposite hand, opposite leg. Push it. Ho! Do it. Do it. Ha! Yes, I can feel it working. Ow! Here we go. Ho! Step touch. Step touch. Do it. Do it. Do it. Cross the hands in front. Work it. Work it. Ha! Here we go. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ha! Yes. 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 Ho! I feel another thought for the day coming on.
Oh, no.
Yes, another one.
Really?
Yes, I do. Ho! Yes, yes, yes. Some friends are like clouds. When they disappear, it's a sunny day. That's not nice, is it? But it's true. Ho! Come on, come on. Ho! Here we go, here we go. Do it, do it. Ho! Cross the hands in front, like so. Yes, yes. So this is the warm-up that you can do when you're ready. Yes, We don't want to work it too hard. Yes, come on. Yes, yes, much here. Here we go, here we go. 2 more minutes left of fun. Here we go. March it, march it. March, 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 march. Good. Okay, quick few tips. Right, lunges are good for you. Squats are good for you. So I'm just going to do a few of those, all right? Starting with the squats from the side. Toes pointing forward. Use the chair for balance if you need it. Okay, you squat down, up. As you come up, you squeeze the butt, cheeks together. Go down. Squeeze skiing. I know we didn't get to skiing this year, but let's practice from now. Here we go. Legs wide though. Funny skiing stance. 8 more. 7. 6. Come on. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Okay, bring your legs in. Here we go. We're almost there. Sweet. Here we go. Squat down and up. Let's go. Squat down and up. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, legs wide again. Here we go. Small movement. Here we go. Now, you know with technology, what can go wrong? If for any reason the batteries run out, if for any reason, yes, it collapses, Motivator is still here, doing his thing, and you just keep going. No, you don't. Remember, I love you. Have a real good day. Look after yourself. Hands on the thighs. Push down and up. Yes, we got to get 1 minute more out with these batteries. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. Kick it out. Kick it out. Okay, last exercise. Legs together. Reach forward. Now you're skiing. 8. And 7. And 6. Keep going. 5. I need to have a rest. At my age. 3. You youngster. See, that's what happens when you steal an older man. And the lunge. Here we go. Any leg. Forward and back. Listen, it's been fun being with you guys. Remember, look after yourself. You have only one life. And if you look after it, it's going to last your lifetime. Remember, treat yourself special every day. Reward even the simplest accomplishment. Just reward yourself. But look after yourself. I'm Motivator. And Miss Palmer, we'll see you real soon. Be well. Take it easy. Say yeah.
If you like that video, there are loads more talks, classes and exclusive videos from the Happy Place Virtual Festival. So don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Do follow us on Instagram for constant updates and enjoy.